Human decency is not derived from religion. It precedes it. Christopher Hitchens. How does faith monopolize? Why do the religious reject facts and overwhelming evidence to the contrary? Faith doesn't only monopolize on ignorance. Faith also monopolizes on people's self-worth. The idea that self-preservation is everything is mostly one of the largest dogmatic doctrines in the religious world. Everybody in the world wants to exist, and nobody just wants to exist for a certain time, right? No one likes to be on the clock for anything. We're on the clock for work. We hate being on the clock for work. Things like that, faith monopolizes on. Now, faith monopolizes on ignorance in different ways. Most of the ways that they monopolize on it is as soon as someone becomes devout or believes in the dogma of any religion, then they put themselves into a type of ring, a battling ring, with what they understand and what they know with what they're supposed to believe. And that can be hard on one's mind, right? Especially if you... belief's a powerful thing. It is. Belief doesn't make anything real. It just, as soon as you believe in something, you're giving yourself, like you're putting all your trust into a belief. And to be told after you've already established a belief in something that you're completely wrong, it diminishes your sense of judgment, all right? And no one wants to have a diminished framework for judgment. It hurts that person on a whole. Now, they can heal from it. I've healed from it. Many other atheists who have went from believing to not believing have healed from it. But the monopoly is in the pseudoscience, all right? For every claim and evidentiary fact that we hold within the scientific community that goes against the Word of God, there's also the pseudoscience videos, literature, things like that will reject the claims of, let's say, evolution or the Big Bang Theory, things like that. So what happens to oneself whenever they leave this spectrum of knowledge and enter into the spectrum of belief? Well, a lot happens. And by a lot, I mean belief almost takes over their entire existence, all right? Belief becomes a much more solid framework for them for every other aspect of life. So when you come into contact with a creationist or someone who's extremely devout, who believes in all these things, you come into a sort of Pandora's box, all right? As soon as you open it, you're not going to like what's inside. But we all have to try. Now, when you state evidence for the contrary, that the Bible isn't true and creationism is a bunch of hokey, then what happens is it upsets the believer. It upsets the devout. And nothing that you can tell them or show them will interrupt this notion that they are right and God is there, which is extremely harmful to them. But what can we do with it? How can we lead one person into an exit of belief and devout knowledge? Well, you can, but that's a building you'd have to take down brick by brick. It's a very, very slow process. But one thing they need to understand is when it comes to creationism and evolutionary theory, natural selection, the Big Bang Theory, is that we have all this evidence for these theories, right? And with these theories and all the evidence and, the intermediate fossils, not to mention the micro scale that we can look at and actually see evolution and process, they won't accept it, not on the fact that they can't understand it, but that they don't want to believe in it if it's going to make whatever else they're into right now untrue, right? So they can dismiss it. They can dismiss any claim you put up. You can dismiss any fact as whatever, and they can walk away from it. But now with the pseudoscience, they're throwing this in our face. These creationist pseudoscience nut jobs, and they come from all fields, not just biology, but they come from geology, pretty much every aspect of the scientific field. And what they do with this process, with this pseudoscience, is to say, well, this says you're wrong. And we understand that pseudoscience and creationist nut jobs do come out with these papers, and they do come out with these videos, and they explain things, which might give you a better understanding of how this Bible might be true in some sort of scientific literature. But the fact is that if we have a theory on something and someone comes up with overwhelming evidence for the contrary, we won't be like, well, that's our theory. You can't, oh, it's too bad, you know? Like, we don't get upset. We get excited that there's a new avenue to go down, that there's a new process to look at. The only thing is, we haven't come in contact or received any contrary evidence against evolution that diminishes it by any means. We get pseudoscience from geologists stating that, well, for creationists and young Earth, we get that argon dating and carbon dating, they're erroneous forms of dating tools that can't be used properly. We also get rejections of evolutionary theory. There's papers on it from Creation Ministries, and there's as many theories that go against the Bible. There's that many creationist pseudoscience theories that you can find to, more solidify your belief in whatever the hell you're believing in. So how do we help these people? Can we help these people? And what do we do for them? Now, rejecting facts and overwhelming claims is, that's the right of everybody. Everybody can reject what they think to be not true. The only thing is, with rejecting things you believe to not be true, you have to come up with another form of thinking. You have to come up with another idea that explains what we're trying to talk about. And a lot of the times this isn't happening, especially with pseudoscience and creation. So the question I asked earlier, why do the religious reject facts and overwhelming evidence? And this is probably one of the easiest answers to give anybody, is because for some people to believe in anything, they need to believe in everything. And I mean everything. I mean the whole story of Genesis, believing that Revelations wasn't just a dream from some stupid, retarded drunk. They have to take everything in, and they have to believe it 100%, or none of it will ever make sense to them, and they'll never actually feel at home with their religion. And a lot of people, like myself, who was religious, found this to be the deciding factor on their religious stance in the world. So the reason they reject these facts, and the reason that overwhelming evidence isn't sufficient enough for the religious, is because if they don't have their religion, they're not quite sure they have anything. And that's sad, because as an atheist, I don't need a God to feel wanted. I don't need a God to tell me I'm going to live forever, because I am quite satisfied in living the time period that I'm allotted. All right? Just to be here and just to experience what I've experienced and just to feel what I've felt is amazing in itself. I don't need a supernatural realm. I don't need eternity. I don't need commandments to tell me to do right. I don't need any of this stuff, because I can be good on my own. And I can also be better than the God that you guys claim to be good. I can be better than Jesus. And if history and the Bible has proven anything, is I am better than God, and I am better than Jesus, just from what their teachings are. All right. a lot of the things that have been dictated or commanded by a God or Jesus, I would find completely unmoral, and I would not wish upon anybody. And I would also like to add that a lot of these scenarios could have been resolved through conversation, and intellectual conversation at that, which is probably why it never happened, because they're not that great at it. So, for the end of this video, I just want to tell you guys that these two questions are open for you as well. This is my take on it, but I want yours. I want to understand your understanding of how does faith monopolize in ignorance. And pseudoscience is a great example. But show me other things that you find on the internet or that you see in your neighborhood that kind of solidifies that faith does monopolize in ignorance in order to keep its followers. And as for the other question, why do the religious reject facts and overwhelming evidence? Is my answer the only answer, or is there a better answer for that? And it's not just for the atheists. It's also for the religious. If you can tell me another reason why you guys reject facts and overwhelming evidence for pseudoscience, then please go ahead. Tell me. I'd love to hear it. But anyway, thank you for listening and let me ramble. And don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends. Talk to you later.